Alright, so today we're going to talk a little bit about this file here and the cut problems that we're getting with this system here. Let's go ahead and break this down. Based off of the photos here, we see a couple of things that I'm not a huge fan of. We have a little bit of scalloping here. Now this is typically indicative of gear rack problems or problems where we're getting excess vibration along the rail. So this would be something physical as opposed to, let's say, electrical. And the only reason I could confidently say that is electrical would give us a little bit of a different profile for this cut. The only possible let's call it the only possible justification I could see for an electrical problem would be some sort of interference coming in on the table while the plasma is running. And if that's the case, I would consider putting a grounding rod onto your table so that we can actually rule that out as a possible factor. I mean, there are other ways to do it, but overall that's what I would check. We have this divot here at the start of a cut, which is the pierce for this cut, and it looks like if we were to look at this other cut here, we also have a similar pierce divot here where it's actually piercing on the edge. I don't know if that's the case, but I do want to make sure that we address part of that, see if we can rule that out as part of the problem. So I'm going to be in Sheet Cam here, and I've pulled up just a random half moon that I made here, and we're going to go to Operation Plasma Cut. Now I have a couple other settings on my screen that's also meant for routing, so disregard some of these settings, but for here, jet cutting is going to remain the same. I'm going to do an arc in, arc out with a portion of the cut that's actually outside of the actual cut that we want. So for instance, if I was cutting this out of something, I'd cut from the inside. If I was cutting from the outside, like if I was just trying to cut this shape, I would do an outside offset with an arc in, arc out of 0.25. That is to say that if this is the cut file, I have my arc out, arc in, let's see, we have my arc in coming in this way and my arc out coming out this way. So the arc is actually coming out this backside here. So we have the arc out, arc in, and this would remove that awkward pierce point. This may reduce some of the vibrations that are occurring specifically around the pierce, as we see in this image here, where we do see some deformation right around the pierce point. We don't see it here or along this curved edge here, but we just see it around the pierce point there. So that's one thing we can check out for. Once you've done this and made your arc in, arc out, you should be good to go. And I would recommend actually running a cut like this. However, the other thing I would check up on is interference on the table, so putting a grounding rod on the table. And then we do see the vibrations here causing an issue. But before we do anything else, we are going to want to do an arc in and arc out just to test that out. And again, I'm just going to make sure we go over that here. I'm going to open this up, and we have an arc here, and my length is 0.25, 0.25. I'm going to make sure that that's the case when setting up this cut. So that is what I would do, and we will just take it from there.